I'm on the North Island, in the stunning Matakana coast, just north of Auckland. We couldn't have picked a better day to go fishing. With the sun blazing down over the calm waters of the Matakana coast, we've headed out today in search of one of New Zealand's most prized fish, snapper.
So we've got snapper on the menu today. Let's go and get some fresh snapper. I'm so excited.
Jackson informs me that the best way to find snapper is to watch where the gannets are feeding.
So we'll follow these gannets here and see where they're going. There's one right over the top of us now. Show us where the fish are.
When you see the gannets working along the coast here, you would have thought they must have come from nearby. They actually come all the way from Great Barrier. That's the closest gannet colony, 35 nautical miles from here. Every morning.
I don't really want a big snapper. I want a sort of like a pan-sized one. They're a lot sweeter, a lot more tender and delicate, and that's what we're after.
It shouldn't be too much of a problem, hopefully.
Hopefully. See if we can get one.
If the gannets are correct, we'll be hauling in succulent snapper in no time. And I've got 3 cracking dishes in mind. First off, I'll make a snapper fillet burger with a creamy aioli. Next, classic fish and chips, but with a coconut flour, curry and wheat beer batter. And finally, whole stuffed grilled snapper with my very own pine nut pesto.
You should hopefully get something soon with all these gannets around us.
Well, they must be under us now. I mean, that is a great sign. I'm getting bites. I'm on.
It didn't take long for the fish to start biting.
Fish on. Woo. Yeah, it feels like a snapper.
Oh, sweet.
No, it's a gannet.
But we weren't having the best of luck pulling in the right fish.
I've got something.
Oh, look at it go. And he's unhooked himself.
Or even keeping them on the line.
Yeah, I've definitely got one.
I've got one too, it seems.
Oh, we're
or
both
maybe
on.
I've got yours. I think it's a carway.
With a gurnard and a kahawai in the bag, it was about time we hooked what we came here for.
Yeah, I think it's a snapper. That's a snapper.
Oh, brilliant.
Woohoo! Brilliant, look at that.
Finally.
That's the perfect size. That's the size I'm after.
So that's what we need.
Getting that first one changed our luck, and only a few minutes later we had enough snapper for me to get cooking. With another successful fishing expedition behind us, we headed in. And I can't wait to cook up these beautiful fresh snapper. Today I'm setting up my outdoor kitchen overlooking the stunning Matakana coast.
Wow, look at the ocean. It's just beautiful. Just out there is where I caught that snapper.
First up today, we're making snapper burgers with homemade aioli.
So we need to clean the fish first, descale it with a sharp knife, holding its tail and scaling downwards. I want to descale it because I'm using the skin, and the skin has many benefits. It has good fats, omega-3. Right, time to take the fillet off the fish. Sharp knife. Start from the tail end, running the knife along the backbone. And look at that beautiful white flesh. So we have one beautiful fillet, and that's the part of the fish we need for these burgers. We'll pop the fish into a bowl while we prepare the aioli for the burger. So what we need is a blender. I've actually got a power pack under the table here with an inverter, and the blender plugs into the inverter, so I've got power for it. So 1 clove of garlic, and that's as much as you need for the amount that I'm making. And we need to separate 3 eggs.
Separate the eggs by moving the yolks from one half of the shell to the other. The egg whites we'll use later to coat the fish. Next, add a teaspoon of whole grain mustard, a teaspoon of flat leaf parsley, some lemon zest, and then mix.
That's reached a nice consistency, almost looks like hollandaise. And to that we're going to add our oil. So we're going to use a lower speed and start pouring our oil in.
It's important to add the oil very slowly to avoid ruining the process of making the aioli.
And the only difference between aioli and mayonnaise is the garlic. The aglio, like my mum would say, who's Italian. So that's the consistency I've wanted to reach. I'll just show you. See, it's quite thick and it's like a butter, but I want to thin that out just ever so slightly.
Add 2 tablespoons of water to the aioli, a teaspoon of lemon juice, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cracked pepper and salt. Pop the lid back on and finish the aioli with a tablespoon of white vinegar.
And it's ready. That's the consistency I was after, and that is a beautiful aioli. And we'll start making this fish burger. So we're going to coat the fish fillets with egg white. So we use all the eggs, all the fish. Right, great. We'll get some panko breadcrumbs into a bowl. And we'll season the breadcrumbs with some salt and pepper. Mix it through. And then we'll grab our fish. As you notice, I left the skin on, and it will hold the fish a lot better than taking the skin off. Great, that fire's really raging. We'll drop some oil in, about 6 tablespoons of oil, canola oil. Any vegetable oil will work for this dish, even olive oil. And we'll just drop those fillets of snapper in, and we'll fry them off. Now, while that's happening, we prepare a little bit of a salad. So we've got some cucumber, iceberg lettuce. So we'll stack up our iceberg lettuce into little piles like that, and then with our cucumber on the top. And that's what you're looking for, is a nice golden brown colour on that panko to come through. So it makes it so much extra challenging for myself to cook here outside on an open fire in an uncontrollable environment. So if I can do it here, you guys at home can easily do it.
Slice up some red onion. You can serve them raw, but I like to fry it off. The fish is ready to serve now, so take it off the heat and add some of the red onions to the salad. Place some burger buns on the barbecue for a few seconds to toast, and then apply a generous layer of aioli to the bottoms. Add the snapper and the salad to the burgers, and then top off with more aioli.
There's no better place to be cooking fresh New Zealand snapper. Now, this is optional. You can put some capers on. I love capers, so I'll put some nice salty capers on, and then a slice of lemon as a garnish. And there we have it. Thick, succulent, flaky snapper coated in that crispy golden breadcrumb. And that handmade aioli, creamy, silky, with that pop of the garlic. Such a winning dish. And I'm going to snap these up before the seagulls do.
Coming up, another summer classic.
We'll just pop that open. Pop.
Beer battered snapper with crunchy shoestring fries. Earlier this morning, Jackson and I went fishing off the Matakana coast for one of New Zealand's most sought-after fish, snapper.
Let's go and get some fresh snapper. I'm so excited.
The gannets led us to a prime spot.
Well, they must be under us now. I mean, that is a great sign.
And it didn't take long for the fish to start biting.
Yeah, I've definitely got one.
Brilliant.
Woohoo! Brilliant, look at that.
First up, I cooked these gorgeous snapper burgers with a homemade aioli. And now it's time for beer-battered fish and chips.
Got a hot pan here that's been on here for about 5 minutes. So we're going to pour 2 litres of vegetable oil straight in. And once that's reached a really good temperature, we can add our fish. So first of all, we need to make our batter. So we're going to take half a cup of coconut flour into a bowl. We're going to add some beer to it. We'll just pop that open. Pop.
Pour in about 250 mils of beer. This is a local crystal wheat beer from the Sawmill Brewery, but any lager will do.
I tell you, it's a lovely beer. I try to use local ingredients when I can, out of the ocean and off the land. And we'll just whisk that wheat beer in with the coconut flour and some cracked pepper and some salt. And we'll add a teaspoon of curry powder. And the curry powder is going to add a bit of spice and a bit of colour and a point of difference. And just whisk in that curry powder until it's mixed all the way through. And then we're going to add an egg and mix the egg in. And the egg will bind and hold the batter to the fish. When I first arrived in New Zealand, I couldn't believe how popular fish and chips were here. And I can see why. The fish is so fresh and so tasty. So we've got 2 beautiful fillets of snapper here. I prepared them earlier. So next, we grab our fillet of fish, pop it into the batter, another one. We'll lay some panko down here. And we'll coat the fish into the panko and drop it into the frying pan, one at a time. 1 and 2. Unlike the traditional way of frying fish, this is quite different, using the coconut flour, the curry powder and the panko. As you can see, that's frying up quite nicely and the temperature of the oil is bang on. I'm really happy with that. We'll give that 4 minutes and in the meantime we'll make our chips or our fries. So I've got a mandolin, our grilled potatoes, and we're going to slice the potatoes down the mandolin, giving us fries here, very thin, and they're going to be amazing to eat. And this mandolin, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere, saves a lot of time in chopping and cutting, and you can do all sorts, carrots, vegetables, whatever really. Those are good to go in. We'll take our fish out and let it rest. And that fish is cooked to perfection. And in goes the fries, straight in. And we'll let the fish rest while those fries are cooking off in the pan. And those fries should take only 3 minutes to cook off. So while we're waiting for those shoestring fries to cook, we'll get some of the aioli that I made earlier and some gherkin. Great, and we'll check on those fries. They still need a wee bit longer because they're still a bit limp. I want them to be a bit crisper than that. So while I wait for these, I'm just going to soak in the view. It's so calming sitting by the ocean, listening to the waves lapping up against the rocks. And those are ready. Get those beautiful shoestring fries. Great. A little bit of salt. And we'll serve those onto the platter with the fish, with a generous serving of tortilla sauce on the side, and finally a wedge of lemon. And there we have it, a classic fish and chips with a twist and with these shoestring fries, crispy and very tasty. Golden brown, crispy, juicy, thick fillets of snapper, crunchy, deep fried shoestring fries. As you bite into them, they're so